So guys, we're going to be talking tonight about like one really, really common thing, which a lot of guys get wrong, which is having poor attention span, poor focus, getting distracted, low energy and low motivation. And like from my end, and I'll let you talk in a sec, Harry, but like from my end, like this is one of the biggest things that I'm a fan of in business and in work. We are often so inefficient. I see like a lot of the dudes who I work with and who I help, like when I first start working with them, I'll like chunk down their day and like look at where they're spending their time. And there is so much wasted time in the day, and we can amplify. Like, fuck, can you imagine if you got more done in half the time? Like, what effect would that have on your day? And by the way, if you're listening to this and this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. What effect would it have? And what would you do if you could spend literally half the time working and get more done? Like I'm talking an extra 25% more, not just a little bit, like 25% more. Like Harry, what would you do if you had all that extra time? If you had an extra 4 hours a day?
4 hours a day, mate. I don't know what I'd start another mushroom farm. I don't know. Like I have so much time. Like
big dreams.
I'd probably end up reading extra 10 books a week or something ridiculous like that.
An extra mushroom farm and 10 books a week.
Yeah. That'd be until I can get a housemate, that'd be my happy place for sure. And 100%. I think that's one of the biggest things that in terms of feedback with a lot of the high performers that I work with after, a couple of months working together, it's I'm doing more, but I've got more time.
Yes.
Which sounds so freaking backwards to anyone that has not experienced that before. But the sensation of doing more but getting everything done in a shorter amount of time because you're so sharp, you're so on the ball and so efficient in what you do, it becomes a game changer. Like if time is the one thing you can't buy back, then who does this not benefit?
And I think that's actually something that you said, which is really fucking cool. Time is the one thing that you can't buy back. Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
Well, it doesn't matter if when you think about like Elon Musk, any of the other, billionaires in the world, what is the one thing that it doesn't matter how much your bank account is worth is one commodity you can't do. You can, buy transplant, like implants. You can, do certain things in terms of your health. You can have the best, coaches in the world. You can have the best house in the world, all the material assets in the world, but you can't go back in time. Not yet anyway, but you can't do anything to alter time. Right?
110%.
So what would as you said, guys, let us know in the comments, what would you do if you had an extra, even just an hour a day? What would you do for people that say they don't have time to go to the gym, don't have time to play with your kids, don't have time to stand outside and just do something that you actually live for a change?
So let's get back to it. So like, where are we costing ourselves time? Like, how is it that we're being inefficient within our days currently?
Well, for all the guys that I see, it's because we get distracted from the things that we're meant to do. So even for the business owners and guys that do have gone to the extent of having a calendar, so they've got where they need to be and what they need to be doing at all hours of the day, it's not always getting done to the effect that it should because there's distractions, right? Whether that comes in the form of phones, notifications, just a poor attention span, anything like that, which makes a 30-minute job take 60, 90 minutes. And then, you multiply that by however many jobs you have to do for the day, for the week. And suddenly you've got work to take home with you on the weekend. And there goes your personal time, right?
100%. Well, the thing is, in the end of the day, like all of us have to make an income. We've all got to, make that bread and pay for our bills and whatnot. And in order to do that, it requires a certain amount of time. But the coolest thing that I think that we can do is we can maximize how much money we can make. We can maximize how productive we are. And that will in turn allow us to minimize our time. Like they're the two opposite things. It's like it's a dialer. You dial up efficiency, you dial down the time that you spend, which has a massive, massive impact. Particularly when we get to to your level, to where I'm at as well, where if we are like 1% better, it has a fucking massive impact within our lives. And one of the big things I see from a lot of the guys who I coach with is, first of all, that we don't prioritize our time and know how fucking valuable that is. Like I cherish my time more than anything else. You will not catch me spending any time on anything fucking stupid. Hence why I've got like 1,000 emails in my inbox, right? Because it's super like low value for me. I don't reply to my texts, like things like that. And I make sure that like I have all my, like one of the big things I've done, thanks to you, is like getting this puppy in, like Lucid. If it's like going to focus, there we go. Like I take that thing every single day. That has been an absolute game changer for improving like my brain function, my attention span, and even like cognitive energy throughout the day. Can you just quickly, I know we weren't going to go over this, but can you just quickly run us through like how does lion's mane work and how does it actually increase our brain function, our attention, and our mental energy?
Well, the research is still out on that because unfortunately with medicinal mushrooms, there isn't a whole lot of, research backing them just yet because, there's not a whole lot of people that benefit from that research yet, unfortunately. But what we do know in terms of that sense is that, it helps to support your nerve growth factor. It helps to support nerve and cell health.
Sorry, what does nerve growth factor do?
Anyone who's experienced like tingling sensations or like the dendrites, so part of the cells within our brains, that's how we communicate. So a lot of our bodily functions are communicating either through electrical pulses or in our brains through chemical transactions, which is like your neurotransmitters. So dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, things like that. And so if you can improve the health of those pathways, then the exchange of those neurotransmitters becomes a lot more efficient.
Gotcha. And so simply by taking a little bit of lion's mane, we can potentially enhance that.
Yeah, of course. Well, like you can speak from personal experience, like how that's changed.
Yeah, it's an absolute fucking game changer. I find that one of the coolest things I notice, so I take it in the morning, not at night, and I smash like my 3 meals. And I still have the best REM sleep that I've ever had in my life, taking it in the morning. It definitely 110% has an effect on REM sleep. REM being rapid eye movement sleep. It's the portion of sleep which is most correlated with brain restoration and cognitive growth and learning and all that sort of stuff. I take it in the morning. My REM sleep's enhanced. My mental focus throughout the day is enhanced. And I'm much, much sharper with much less effort, which is really cool. And it's interesting. Like I used to get quite wound up when I was working because I was doing a fair bit, talking a whole lot, being really, speaking really quite fast and being fast. And I found that when I shifted towards that, it was almost as if it was a lot easier, which in turn made it a lot less stressful on me, which is really fucking cool. So if we go back to like where we were actually going to go tonight, like what is the solution like to, let's say that we are easily distracted. We don't have great energy. We don't have great brain function and like we can't retain information terribly easily. What is the solution to this?
Well, first of all, like everything, instead of kind of treating the symptom, like look at what is causing that energy or attention deficit, like that issue in the first place, and what is causing that like to be distracted. Most often it's phones. Right. We have, especially people that have a lot of notifications going on from social media, from emails, from text calls, all that kind of stuff. It distracts you from what you're doing. Because one of the things there is, especially with social media, I'll admit, the people that create social media are probably a hell of a lot smarter than me in their algorithms and everything else they've got going on. So, they design that for our attention. One of the reasons that we have such short attention spans is because of the scrolling nature of social media. Like I think the algorithm for TikTok or Instagram is 2 seconds, maybe. If you get a view for more than 2 seconds, it automatically bumps your profile up. Like that's all you need is a view of more than 2 seconds. And it's like, cool, people are kind of liking your content. 2 seconds.
Have you seen the Social Dilemma yet? Have you watched that movie on Netflix?
Yeah.
It's fucking insane, isn't it? The stuff they do to get us addicted and hooked onto our phones. It's a really weird thing.
Oh, 100%, mate. Like, as I mentioned this morning, like I've started training for a triathlon. I've only mentioned it a couple of times, haven't searched too much stuff on Google or anything like that. But, on the limited time that I do spend on Instagram, like I've got a timer set for myself on that. And, like I'm getting ads for, goggles that project, your calories burned, your lap speed, all this kind of stuff, like targeted ads and things like that, which only add to the time that you spend scrolling that app because the more time you spend, the more money they make, the more clicks that they get, and it kind of funnels down that road. So
the other one too, like if we're going to go deeper down this, dysfunctional dopamine responses, it's the fucking worst thing ever for attention by far. And what I mean, if you're not familiar with this, dopamine is a neurotransmitter, so that means like it's a brain hormone, which regulates large amounts of our motivation, our intent, our desire, our searching for reward. And a lot of us have faulty dopamine responses. And what I mean by a faulty dopamine response is this. We go through and we have so much stuff going on in our life, which is constantly taking our attention. Flashing here, flashing there, shiny object. Look, there's money, there's some tits on Facebook. Like there's all this stuff which just keeps popping up and fires off little bits of dopamine. And what this means is that our brain is in such like an agitated, stimulated state that we can't actually focus because it's so used to being distracted. And the best way I've had it put like this, a lot of people who do struggle with poor focus and they can't actually think and they're super inefficient and always procrastinate. Let's put it to you this way. You're practicing being distracted for 16 plus hours a day. Every second you're on your phone, unless you're doing something with like a specific task, you're being distracted. We are all being distracted all day, every single day. If we're constantly being distracted, of course you're not going to be able to sleep well and you're not going to be able to shut off your brain. Of course you're not going to be able to focus on one piece of work. Of course you're going to have a difficult time when your kid wants to play with you, but there's something on the TV. There's something else you want to do. Of course you're going to have these difficult things, these difficulties, because your whole dopamine response is completely smashed, like absolutely smashed. And the only way that we can fix it is to remove all of these harmful stimuli. And they are harmful. Like we act like Facebook isn't a drug. Facebook is a fucking drug. I know more people addicted to Facebook than cocaine. And I've been in the business world. I know a lot of people addicted to cocaine. And I know more
it's a lot cheaper having being on Facebook at least.
Well, fuck, depends how many ads you click on, right? And how much shit you buy. Fair. But directly, yes, it's cheaper because it's free. That's actually another fucking awesome point you brought up, dude. Is like, because it's free, we spend time on that.
Right.
It's cheaper. It's free. It's not costing us anything. Bullshit. To go back to what you said at the start, it's costing us time. And that's the most valuable thing. You know, we often like to think that we are customers of Facebook. We're not customers. We're the fucking product, right? Our attention is the product. That is what they sell to advertisers. I run Facebook ads, right? That is what they sell. They sell attention. Facebook is one of the most expensive things that you can ever do if you're hooked and if your dopamine response is fucked.
Yeah, it's absolutely retarded, man. And because we get so accustomed to cheap and easy forms of dopamine, whether it's from, any of the social medias, anything on our phone, porn, sugar, fast food, anything like that, when it comes to, bring back to, like, as you said before, motivation, when it comes to actually having to put in work to go and achieve hit a dopamine from, maybe a good workout, maybe, losing some weight or, getting a promotion, whatever it is that takes actual effort, your body's like, I have to put in effort to do this. Fuck that. I can just open my phone and get dopamine in about half a second. Why would I want to do that?
110%. And the interesting thing, dude, I obviously coach like a lot of guys who are very, very successful in business. Like the average net worth of my clients last year increased by several million, right? Each person. And all of those dudes limit their screen time. Most of them limit it completely to, unless they're posting, they're not on it. They don't go through and surf it. They don't scroll on it. Everything's really structured. They don't go and chase those sugary, palatable foods. The only time they get their dopamine is from success and fucking, that's it. And playing with their kids.
Yeah. How much better is that quality of life than relying on, your phone or cheap stuff like that? And especially with things like sugar as well. One of the things they showed in terms of the dopamine hit that you get from sugar is with natural highs, for example, maybe, achieving say a PB, eating a fucking phenomenal steak or, something like that, you get the more you do it, the smaller dopamine hit you get. So you get a peak, and then each time after that, it gets a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, until you either need to challenge yourself a little bit more, spice up the steak with a different sauce, go without it for a while, and then reintroduce it, whatever like that. But with sugar, and then similar to social media, it's the same high every single time. So you can eat a block of chocolate right now and in 5 minutes time, and you'll get the exact same high, which makes it so freaking addictive, like that of illicit drugs, which is why people get hooked on it so much, because they're guaranteed that high.
You know what's crazy is it is common to be overweight or obese. It is more common to be overweight or obese in Australia than like lean and look good and be totally healthy. It's crazy, isn't it? That the common person has a massively fucked up dopamine response. The common person's dopamine is fucking ruined.
Yeah, absolutely right, man. You know, that's why we hate average. Like, not because there's anything wrong with being like average, or there is, because average is overweight, overstimulated, undermotivated, underachieving, and just living a lesser than optimal or lesser than their potential life.
Well, I'm going to be super brutal here and like just call it as it fucking is. Common and average is overweight or obese, hooked on drugs of some sort, be it sugar, be it an actual drug, be it alcohol, something like that. Divorced, unhappy and unengaged in their job and don't like what they do, like at all, and not happy about it. You know the craziest thing? Not doing anything about the problems either, settling for it. And that last one is the fucking worst out of all of those. Fuck average, fuck normal, fuck common. Be exceptional, be uncommon, be different, because if you're uncommon, you're going to be happy.
Because that's the issue with a lot of those things, right? Is people see that and they're like, oh, I'm the same as everybody else, so it can't be that bad. Or we justify it to ourselves about why our situation allows us to be in the position we're in. And we accept that because, you know, it's hard to do this. And you're like, oh, you've had a big day. Just get Uber Eats today. You know, you'll be right. You'll start tomorrow. And you're like, you justify all those shitty little decisions.
It's funny, isn't it? We say it's hard, right? It's hard right now. But let's look at smoking as an example. What's harder, quitting or telling your son or your daughter or your family that you're dying of lung cancer because you couldn't give up ciggies? You know, if you look at like, you know, drinking, it's like, it's hard to quit drinking. Definitely. It's hard to say no to the boys when they're down at the pub. But how much fucking harder is it to tell your family that, oh, you know, like I've got cirrhosis of the liver, you know, my liver's fucked, I got liver cancer. You know, it's hard to go out and exercise and eat properly and to get into proper shape. But it's fuckloads harder to die at 50 from a heart attack or whatever fucking disease you set up. Jesus, COVID as well. It's hard to do. You can die from COVID or die from anything from like that. Not that I'm allowed to say that, but whatever, fuck them. And it's hard. You die from that. That is way fucking harder because you look at all the effects that it's having on. It might feel like it's hard in the short term, but the hardest thing to do in the short term is the easiest thing to do in the long term every single time.
100%. And I think that's one thing that because people are so reliant on these cheap forms of dopamine, they don't have the motivation to get up, and they forget the fact that you have the choice. Life is hard either way, but you get to choose your hard.
I love that.
You know, and I love that quote as well because it gives you the choice. As you said, you know, you can be on your deathbed telling them that, you know, you couldn't give them up because you just couldn't. I don't know if you got a better excuse than that, go for it. Or you can make that change now and live a much healthier life and actually maybe see your kids grow up. If you got a daughter, maybe walk her down the aisle, all things like that money can't buy.
100%. Dude, this has been an awesome chat. Love it. Guys, if you have any questions at all, just reach out in the comments section below. But on that note, we might wrap it up there.
Beautiful.
Thanks for your time, Harry. Appreciate you, dude.
Pleasure. Love these calls, man. It's a pleasure.
Epic, man. All right, I'll speak to you soon, bro.
Take care, brother. See you guys.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got something out of it and you want to learn more, click the link below or type in High Performance Conversations with James Cant and you'll be able to check out all the podcasts that we've done. We cover a stack of different topics, everything from getting your mojo back, overcoming anxiety, self-doubt, self-esteem, and learning from some of the industries and some of the world's top performers in both business and in health. Look forward to having you on there.